Are foreigners ruining Japan? Make sure to watch to the end.
Riding a bullet train without paying, breaking into an active construction site, begging locals for money, stealing food from a Kyoto hotel, or breaking into a truck. What do you want to do when you come to Japan?
None of that, to be honest. Yeah, that does not sound like a good time. I am not down for going to a foreign country and just breaking laws. Yeah, I've heard about some of these things, some of these clips and stuff from, like Penguin Zero, so Charlie, Moist Critical, and also through Asmongold. And man, guys, you're in for a ride here. This is crazy. I love seeing that Abroad in Japan put together a video kind of combining all of it. So let's see what he has to say about it.
There seems to be a worrying trend now where foreign influencers are treating Japan like it's a cross between Disneyland and The Purge, a theme park where rules don't matter and you can pretty much get away with anything.
I feel like this happens a lot with content creators and streamers anyway. Like, not necessarily just going to a foreign country, but just anywhere. They just act like they can just break rules and get away with things just because it's for content. But I think it's like hyperbole in a different country, right? It's even more exaggerated because I feel like, I'm leaving anyway. I don't live here, so I have less consequence or something. Not entirely true, guys. You get caught doing this stuff in a foreign country, they will put you in prison. Like, don't mess around.
In a world where all that matters now is click-through rates on YouTube videos or audience retention on a kick stream, desperate creators are going to desperate lengths to get the attention they sorely crave. And unfortunately, it seems what better place to exploit people's kind-hearted nature and goodwill for content than here in Japan. Nuisance foreign influencers have been in the public news quite a bit in Japan over the last few months. And with the release of a video just yesterday by YouTuber Fidus getting thrown off a Shinkansen for not paying, amongst other things, the topic looks set to make a very unwelcome comeback this week.
Oh man, yeah, this guy Fidus or whatever, hiding on a train bathroom to try and avoid paying for the train ride. I have no idea how much of it is true or not, faked or whatever, but basically no amount of it is okay. Like, if he faked 10% of the video, 50%, all of it, I really don't think any of it is okay, even pretending to be breaking the law, because this guy has an audience. Even if he faked 100% of it and he actually paid after this clip or whatever, yeah, the audience, it's probably younger people. They're watching him, they're absorbing this, and they're getting ideas. Like, people are, yeah. When you're a role model, the younger people are watching you. They think the things you're doing are cool or okay or acceptable or whatever. They look up to you. They start doing that stuff in their hometown or wherever they live, or if they go traveling somewhere. It's really not a good thing, not a good trend. It's really messy, really ugly.
In this video, we'll take a look at who these dickheads are and what's been going on, as well as exploring how this has been playing out in Japan amongst both the public and the Japanese government, because it certainly hasn't gone unnoticed.
Yeah.
And look, this isn't just a foreigner YouTube problem. Japan has its own fair share of domestic nuisance YouTubers, and it's taken some pretty bizarre measures to counter them as well, as we'll see.
Wow.
But both as a foreigner living in Japan and as a YouTuber, naturally, I feel like this is something I need to talk about. Do I want to talk about it? No, no I don't. As you know, I like talking about happy things. In fact, to produce this video, I had to completely scrap the fun pre-planned content that I had in store. But my policy on YouTubers and streamers doing shitty things has always been to ignore them, for fear of bringing them any more attention or notoriety. And I only do so today because in the case of the first bellend that we'll talk about, Johnny Somali, a kick streamer, he's already reached a high level of notoriety after his recent arrest. And his story is important as it gives context to why people are so fed up that this has happened again. And my talk...
it's really sad too that these guys do this kind of stuff, because it gives a bad name to all foreigners in Japan. I feel like, just the random Japanese person walking down the street, they see like a bad news article or a news segment on TV about this, and then that just sours their whole opinion. It's like, oh, wow, these stupid Americans or foreigners or whatever, maybe not just Americans, but these stupid foreigners, what are they doing in our country, messing around? And then people don't want foreigners around even more. Like, less people are going to be welcome to go into restaurants, or less people are going to be welcome to go into, supermarkets or establishments or whatever, because of these guys. It's really bad.
Talking about the second person, who is a YouTuber, hopefully YouTube will take more aggressive action against creators that make shitty content like this.
Yeah.
Also, if you're having a good day where you've got some sort of faith in humanity, you might want to stop watching right now, as I've discovered learning about these fucking idiots really doesn't do you any favours.
Yeah.
In September, kick streamer Johnny Somali was arrested after repeatedly causing mayhem around the country. Whether it was standing on a train with a loudspeaker harassing train passengers.
Oh, and this is such a big insult in Japan too, because trains, at least from what I've heard, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm totally happy to be corrected, but from what I know and understand and have heard, traveling on a train is like it's like a safe space. Everybody is so quiet, and it's like the ultimate respect to just maintain that quiet on the train. Anybody who breaks it, it's like a taboo to break it. You get stared at. You get essentially like publicly, I don't know, humiliated by the cringe that you feel and the looks that you get, something like that. Like, it's just really bad. You don't make noise on trains. So this guy, oh man.
Yo, what is this, bro?
Wandering onto a construction site and being thrown off by mortified workers. Or, of course, breaking into a truck for lunch. For 6 months, frustratingly, he pretty much got away with it all. Had Johnny Somali been in the UK, he would have discovered the definition of human punch bag very fucking fast. But unfortunately, in Japan, people go about their lives keen to avoid conflict or disputes, especially given how rare it all is. And when
that country is so full of respect and like honor. Yeah, I mean, even with this total dingus, like he's just such an idiot. Such an absolute idiot. Even with him acting out to the 10th degree, right? He never got knocked out by one of these Japanese people. That says something so much about this country and the people in it. He could not bring them down to his level, and it's impressive.
When people see outlandish, disrespectful behaviour, they're far less likely to confront it than they would in North America or Europe.
Yeah.
And with the authorities seemingly inactive or oblivious to this toxic behaviour for the longest time, it got to the point where vigilante stream snipers were actively seeking him out, leading him to get knocked out by a foreign tourist in what might be his second greatest stream. And during
that clip is fantastic. If you can find the full clip of that, look it up. It's hilarious. This guy absolutely deserved to get knocked out. I mean, I'll say I do not condone violence. I never support it or encourage it or whatever. But in this situation, with the ongoing just disrespect and just absolute insanity that this guy was creating in Japan and the bad image that he was giving to foreigners, I am glad that something negative happened to him for that.
During this time, I purposely avoided the topic because I just didn't want to bring attention to someone like this. You know? There's no such thing, they say, as bad publicity. Fortunately, turns out there is. Eventually, Japanese media caught on to Johnny Somali, and in what was undeniably his greatest stream. He captured his own demise in real time as the police arrested him and tossed him into a cell where he's been for almost 2 months now.
I really hope he gets deported, and I hope they like blacklist him so he can never come back to Japan. I really hope so. This guy's such an idiot.
Formally charged with trespassing, he could spend up to 3 years in jail, but that's pretty unlikely, and we can only hope he does get to stream his inevitable deportation sometime in the near future. But the damage had already been done, with one of Japan's most powerful politicians speaking out publicly about nuisance streamers, casting a bit of a shadow over regular streamers and YouTubers operating in Japan. And that
Right, that's what I was saying, man. I'm sure there's plenty of streamers and YouTubers in Japan, and abroad in Japan included. And PewDiePie's in Japan, right? That don't do this kind of stuff. They're just doing their thing. They're not bothering anybody. If they go into an establishment to film, they get permission beforehand. They're really respectful. They respect the culture as much as they can, or as much as they know about the culture, they respect it to that level that they understand or know. Like, man, and if they don't know, they let themselves be educated and respect, to that level that is put on them or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's totally messed up for someone to just ruin it. One guy ruins it for everybody. It's so bad.
That takes us to now. This week in the relay race of dickhead influencers in Japan, the baton of twattery went from Johnny Somali to Cypriot YouTuber Fidus when he released a video called I Travelled Across Japan for Free. A more accurate title would have been I Travelled Across Japan Without Fucking Paying.
Yeah.
As Fidus rode across the country
I traveled across Japan, breaking the law the whole way.
on a Shinkansen without buying a ticket and then camping out in a public toilet while battling an unamused train conductor who later threw him off the train.
Right.
As well as harassing locals for money along the way to pay for his bus fare. Although clearly it wasn't enough because he didn't pay the bus fare, and so the bus company took him to the police station to charge him. And if that wasn't enough, as an extra bonus, he also walked into a Kyoto hotel, pretended he was staying to the staff, and stole food from the breakfast buffet.
I didn't know about this part. I did not see that part. That makes him even worse. Like, this guy was already cringe and annoying. And seeing him just stealing food straight up, that... Something about that. Like, man, if you really need food, people will help you. But taking advantage like that and just stealing food, something about that really irks me. I don't like that at all.
What a man of class. A waste of time for everyone involved, all in the name of the world's shittest YouTube video.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I don't actually want Fidus to get arrested for this. I want him to be free so he can get to work on his sequel as soon as possible. I travel Pyongyang for free. Why would I pay good money to see
Yeah, and you would never leave that country. Oh my goodness. He would disappear. We would forget about Fidus completely because he would be gone.
that in action? Now, right off the bat, Fidus doesn't have the best reputation. In fact, if desperation had a physical manifestation, it would be him.
Yeah.
After all, the guy once camped outside of Twitter's headquarters for 60 days just to get a hug with Elon Musk himself. In a scene so hideously awkward, you'll want to go back in time and kill the internet from ever happening. Perhaps...
Look at that face. Oh, Elon Musk, you look so dead inside. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry you have to deal with this crap. Just hyper fanboys, but not really. Just content like desperation. Yeah, so pathetic.
this shouldn't be a complete surprise, given this is the same guy who faced a backlash last year for his questionable thumbnail choices. But in a matter of hours, the video had been picked up by netizens online and shared across Japan. In response to the outrage, Fidus did what any good YouTuber would do. He wrote a shit apology. Hello, beautiful people. I apologise to the...
And he apologized in the comments. He wrote this like in a minute or two, posted it, and that's it. No video, no, not even a YouTube short or like something on his Instagram or something like that. Literally just a comment on the video, and that's it.
Japanese people, if we made them feel bad, that was not our goal. From now on, I am going to make more research to the cultures we go to and try to prevent this from happening again. I love you all. 5 likes from 5 fucking idiots.
Yeah, that's pathetic. That is the most pathetic apology I've ever seen.
I'm gonna make more research to the cultures. You know what? Maybe I'll swing by Malaysia. Maybe I'll steal a truck because maybe that's okay there. Maybe theft is okay. I don't know. I haven't researched the culture. Or maybe I'll swing by Vietnam and hijack a bus. I don't know. I haven't researched the culture.
I feel like there's a base level where you don't need to research the culture, where you can be like 100%, we'll say 99.5% certain you don't need to do the research because you can be sure that stealing in another country is not okay. Surprise! Shocker! That's wild.
Maybe the concept of crime is absent in Asian countries. But clearly Fidus didn't research the culture of India because he did the exact same fucking thing there, riding a train without paying. But what lies in store for Fidus? Well, if history tells us anything, it's that he should soon begin his narrative arc to becoming an amateur boxer. And who knows what kind of...
Yeah, exactly. Making cringe videos on an ascending level all the way up to becoming a boxer does definitely sound like a Logan Paul arc if I ever heard one.
Exciting content that we can expect next. Perhaps I piggybacked across Japan on 100 unwilling strangers. Or perhaps I tried robbing a Japanese 7-Eleven in a day. But there's a tipping point in Japan when something is featured on TV. That's when the outrage is sort of crystallized. And it's impressive how well...
Yeah. It's become material. It's something being seen by the whole society in Japan, right? That's when you know this is a serious issue. It's getting traction. It's got a lot of visibility, and yeah, like I said, it's making other streamers and YouTubers look really bad.
Oh, everyone's forgotten Logan Paul's saga when he came to Japan for the ultimate dickhead speedrun, causing chaos on the streets, smashing Game Boys and mocking the dead, with the whole episode making national news in Japan. To the point that I ended up on Japan's biggest morning news show in the bizarre position of having to defend all foreign YouTubers ever in the world, which was basically me just sitting on a chair, looking bewildered, going, I'm very angry.
I'm so sorry that he had to do that. I didn't know he had to do that. That must have been very uncomfortable. Oh, man.
Very angry indeed. It's a good thing I didn't say. But don't worry, it won't happen again. Especially with a clip of even more streamers in Japan doing the rounds dressed as Mario, harassing women in the street.
Oh, man.
Now, there is some good news. Just as I was finishing up this video, I did see that the offending video had disappeared, meaning either YouTube took action or he took it down himself. But the damage has already been done. It's already been shared across social media in Japan. People are already kind of pissed off. Japanese rail companies are investigating what happened. And just today, a friend shared with me a photo of his local bar that's just put up a sign banning people from filming, streaming, doing anything inside there. And who...
Exactly. See, it's already happening. The evidence is there. No live video, no streaming. Yeah, it's just absolutely ruining it for other streamers and content creators. It's so sad.
Can really blame them. Probably a look of things to come. You know, looking at the bigger picture, it's unfortunate. In 10 years living here, 300 videos on the road, I've very rarely faced any difficulties filming in public. The key is to be respectful, don't be noisy, be mindful of the people around you. And much of my success is down to the fact Japan is so tolerant and so generous when it comes to people filming out and about in public. There's nowhere better to do it. And I worry if this keeps happening, then the day will arrive where every time I pull out a camera to film, or a foreign tourist is filming something, just making a video, you know, folks will rush over to sort of say, oh, stop filming, don't film here, please, damn it, don't film, because they're so...
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's leading up to with the kind of national vision on this issue now in Japan. It really is going to become that kind of problem. It'll become something of history. Oh, filming in public? What is that? Nobody does that in Japan now. It sucks because of these guys.
So concerned that something bad is going to happen. And it's a sad turn of events to be confronting, especially as it's the 1-year anniversary of Japan reopening. You know, tourist numbers are almost back to where they were since 2019. It'd be a terrible shame if that is overshadowed by foreign influencers running amok, being disrespectful, and taking advantage of Japan and its people. And I think the only flip side I can find is by raising awareness of that. I kind of want to encourage you guys, if you're ever out there watching something on YouTube or Twitch or Kick, where douchebag influencers are traveling around Japan doing these sort of things, hold them to account, report them, do what you can. That's the only way they can be stopped when they're deprived of the platforms that they use.
Yeah, if we deplatform these guys, it's over. That stops it, and it discourages others from doing the same. It's a good point.
To output the shitty, awful content. Now, as I said, Japan isn't without its own domestic YouTuber problems. In fact, the country has a word for nuisance YouTubers, mewakuke. During the pandemic, a YouTuber...
Oh man, Japan. I love Japan. They have a specific word for a nuisance performer. Mewakuke. Mewakuke. Oh my goodness.
YouTuber called HiMrSmiles was detained for 2 days after a string of questionable activities, including stealing sashimi from a supermarket and laying down a mattress in the middle of Shibuya Crossing. That was never going to end well, let's face it. Then this year, somewhat bizarrely, in the run-up to hosting the G7 summit, the Japan Self-Defense Force ran a series of exercises in anticipation of an attack. In this case, in the event that a YouTuber should try to break into a base belonging to the Japan Self-Defense Force.
That's crazy. It's so known and so obvious an issue that their self-defense force is actually practicing for these situations where a YouTuber would come onto the base. That's crazy.
Which they reacted to by swarming the individual and searching their car.
Wow.
And let's face it, it's the one Logan Paul video that we all want to see. That would be one hell of an episode. As for Fidus, let's hope his next video is out soon. Staying in Japan for free, with free meals. Fingers fucking crossed.
Oh man, I love that video. That was great. That was a really good way to put it all together, all the stories, and then kind of some other information as well. Great video by Abroad in Japan. Oh, guys, man, I agree with Abroad in Japan there. If you see any other streamers or content creators doing this kind of stuff, if you see them trolling or anything like this in Japan or any country, just report them. Do everything you can to make them be a focal point and get them deplatformed, or at least, you know, like some visibility on them, more visibility on them and their issues, and, you know, let people know that it's not right. I totally agree there. It was a really good video to see it all put together. Those guys are super cringe, and I really hope this kind of thing stops. I don't want Japan ruined for everybody else. Well, what do you guys think? Did these guys get what they deserved? Let me know in the comments. Leave a like, a subscribe, and I will see you next time.